Good evening, everyone. Welcome into the latest edition of the Milford Informer. I am Tim Coet. We now are just days away from another local election here in Milford. Tonight we'll give you one last chance to hear from the candidates from each contested race, and we will also provide all of the final details you need to know heading into Election Day. Before we get to that, however, let's show you everything we have coming up tonight in our top stories rundown. Tonight we'll give you one final reminder about all of the candidates involved in the contested races on this Tuesday's ballot, and we'll also let you hear from those candidates as we recap a recently held candidate forum. And later in sports, we will get you ready for spring sports with a pair of season previews. First, we'll show you how the boys volleyball team hopes to take a loaded roster deep into the playoffs. And then we meet up with the softball team, who hopes to usher in a new chapter of success for the program with a brand new core of players. Milford's 2019 town election is taking place this coming Tuesday, April 2nd. As I mentioned, we want to give you one final chance to hear directly from the candidates. But first, let's remind you one more time about each of the candidates that will appear on the contested races on this year's ballot. For one last time, let's take you through the candidates in each contested race appearing on Tuesday's ballot. Let's start with the Board of Selectmen, where incumbent Mike Walsh is seeking re-election to the board. He is being opposed by attorney Amy Clifford. Amy has previously served as a town meeting member in Milford. There are 2 seats available on the school committee. Current committee member Joe Marias is not seeking re-election, therefore Jim Legore is the only incumbent on Tuesday's ballot. Challengers in the school committee race include former school committee member John Erickson, Mike Visconti, and recent Milford High School graduates Justin Dulac, Tarek Miranda, and R.J. Sheedy. Other contested races include Town Constable, where 6 candidates are vying for 5 seats. There are 5 incumbents all running for re-election, with Rob Sheedy serving as the lone challenger. For the Board of Library Trustees, there are no incumbents in the race, leaving 2 seats available for a field of 3 challengers, including Stephanie Abisla, Margaret Myatt, and Scott Vecchiola. Finally, there are 2 seats available on the Board of Trustees for Vernon Grove Cemetery. Sadly, one of the incumbents in this race, Marilyn Lovell, passed away on March 20th. Her name will appear on the already printed town ballots, along with the 2 remaining candidates in the race, Scott Vecchiola and Kristen Gardner. Throughout this campaign season, Milford TV has been present for 3 separate candidate forums, all of which are currently running both on our main Milford TV channel as well as on YouTube. We also have a number of member-produced programs which feature interviews with the candidates. We encourage you to take a look at our programming guide or check out our YouTube page and check out all of these election resources. One of the forums we were able to cover was hosted by the Citizens for Milford, and we've taken the following samples from that forum to give you the opportunity to hear from the candidates involved in each of the contested races that you will vote on this coming Tuesday.
On behalf of all of us at Citizens for Milford, we want to welcome you here today, both the candidates and the voters.
That is, could you please tell us what you think is the most important duty of serving as a constable?
The most important part of it is probably being sensitive to the time and need, because you're bringing somebody, news that they don't really want, some type of papers, eviction notices, court papers, whatever. So you want to be sympathetic towards their nature and, do it with caution and care.
Yes, but can you tell us what the most important job of the trustees is and why you believe you are qualified to serve as a trustee? So we'll alternate. Yeah.
So I think the most important job, honestly, of a trustee is to make sure that you keep the upkeep and the beauty of the cemetery and really listen to the people who have their loved ones buried there, because I feel that that is really what we're here for. The cemetery is for the people who have their loved ones buried there, that want certain things done, and I'm hoping as a trustee that I can listen to what people are asking and try to make it happen. Thank you.
The people that are buried need a voice, and the trustees are the voice of the people that are buried there. You got to make sure everything's upkeep and make sure it works good for the people that are buried there, because the family members come in, they see something not right, they're gonna bitch. I know. We had a few that happened through the years. But if you keep it up, that'd be good. And you gotta make sure that you have the tools to make sure the place looks good and everything too. That's another thing. That's about it.
3 candidates for 2 seats, Library Board of Trustees. So Stephanie Ebisla, Margaret Myatt, and Scott Vicula.
What are the most important issues that will face the library in the next 3 years? First and foremost, every year, I think the most important thing is the budget and meeting the certification requirements of the state of Massachusetts. They have a municipal allocation requirement that must be met every year, and if that slips away, you lose the certification that Stephanie was mentioning, and you start becoming an island of your own resources. You would not be able to share with other libraries in the state. You would be cut off from all of those interlibrary loans, the databases, the electronic books that are available online. So the budget, while not the sexiest thing to work on, is the most important.
Again, I think the things that are facing the library, as Margaret mentioned, is the budget first and foremost. Without funding, there's not much we can do, and one of the big challenges is increased health costs, increased salaries, and things of that sort that chip away, and we don't always pay attention to the hidden costs that are impacting some of the others. We see, the cost of a book, we see the cost of a DVD or something like that as very prominent, but we don't see a lot of the hidden costs that eat away at the budget and cause a lot of stress for the library. And I think another issue that we should look into is just parking in general. I don't know how we can fix that, but it's worth looking into. So thank you.
Scott.
I only got 2 on my mind. One of them will be the budget, to make sure everything goes as planned so they don't lose any funding. And number 2 is the parking. Because I've seen over there, you can't park everywhere. You get tagged if you do in certain places. I know they were working on something, but I don't know if they still are. Next door, I know they're trying to do something there, but we see. But if I get on the board, I can look at it more. Thank you.
The school committee is just in charge of 3. The budget, policy making, and hiring and firing of the superintendent. And that's it. So specifically, pick one of them and tell us specifically which one of those 3 is most important to you and how you improve the school district to get to I'll call Holliston, forget Lexington or Wellesley, but just pick one and tell us what you're going to do with those 3.
Tarek.
I would start with Mr. McIntyre. I'd start with the superintendent. I don't think he has clear goals in mind, and we ought to have that conversation over whether he should be replaced or whether he needs to come up with a plan, because he works for the school committee, and the school committee should guide him into making a plan to getting us where we want to be as a town.
I think budget is the largest component in that, to answer your question. So we have a collaborative effort with the FinCom. We work very closely with Capital. We work very closely with Budget Subcommittee. And we are actually very articulate at going line by line through the budget, identifying where there is value add and where there is not. Looking for ways to thoughtfully add value to the district through additional programming, through interventionalists, through coaches, are all ways that we're proactively adding value to the district to increase student accountability and faculty accountability. So to answer your question, I think budget actually is our most, focused area in which we spend probably 80% of our dialogue.
Well, I would tend to agree that budget and policy are probably the 2 most important functions of the school committee. I think it's important to recognize that there's also the unofficial responsibility of being an outreach organization. We're here to represent the families and students of the Milford Public School System. I've mentioned a lot of different initiatives that I want to lead as a school committee member. Each and every one of them would involve reaching out to the community, getting parental input, getting teacher input. Whether you're talking about rebuilding the Milford High School, or when you think about that, you're going to want to get teacher input because the classrooms are changing. The rows of desks and chairs that you and I knew growing up are going away, and we're getting more alternative seating arrangements in classrooms to reflect the needs of modern students. So you want to make sure you're reaching out to teachers and having them involved in the process of constructing the new high school. If you want to talk about school start times, that's another issue where you have to be active in the community, reaching out to people each and every time you want to have a discussion about it, because you're going to need to be thinking about students' extracurricular activities, their work schedules. You're going to need to be working with the teachers union, and that's stuff that I have experience with from my time in Sudbury. Cut off there, but
Mike?
Certainly budget, of course, but let's look at the budget. For the last 10 years, the school department budget has increased many times the inflation rate. There should be no lacking of funds to get the job done. Hiring and firing, without mentioning any names, if this was a private business, private industry, there would be people on the street right now looking for work. They're not doing their job. They're not getting the job done. We need to get the job done. I would challenge the administration, get the job done. Don't tell me how you made the pudding. Show me the pudding and show me the good pudding at the end of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave, for your question. I think all aspects of the school committee role, setting the policies, setting the budget, and hiring and firing, I think those are all equally important. It's important that we find policies that work for all students and work great for the community, whether it's introducing an idea like a late bus program to our schools or making our schools more sustainable. Budget is clearly the biggest component of our district. We should always have a budget that is a reflection of our values, and we've done that, I think, for as long as I've been around in Milford, and I hope we continue to be able to do that. And hiring and firing, that's important. I really like Kevin a lot, Kevin McIntyre. I really do like him, and I hope we can keep him as long as we had Bob Tremblay. Thanks.
So are you suggesting that you would support Milford Police Department to end their relationship with ICE, to stop deputizing local police officers as ICE officers and enforce immigration policy and work with them?
Is that question directed to?
Both candidates.
Okay.
Yeah, so my focus on what I say about immigration and as it relates to the Board of Selectmen is that the current Board of Selectmen are spending way too much time on the project of immigration and determining how to create differences between legals versus illegals, and it's a waste of their time because federal law takes the place of immigration. So anything that we do at a local level will just be shut down. So I'm a lawyer. I believe in a nation of laws, and I believe that no one is above the law. So I wouldn't stop the Milford Police from cooperating with our federal authorities. Absolutely not.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Mike, if I get your question right, you're asking whether I would support the continued effort between the Milford Police Department, the Massachusetts State Police, and ICE working together on illegal immigration? Absolutely, absolutely. But it shouldn't be the sole force of the Milford Police Department. And again, only because I'm a current sitting member of the Board of Selectmen, I'm privy to certain information, and there's a lot of it going on right now. There's a lot of it going on, but it's not just in the town of the town of Milford. It's in a lot of communities, and it's a concern, and they are working on it. But no, I'm 100% behind those groups all working together to make it better. Thank you.
It has suddenly felt a lot more like spring over the last 2 weeks, and that improvement in the weather could not have come at a better time for Milford's spring sports teams as they prepare to open their 2019 regular seasons. We have 2 spring sports season previews to share with you this week. First, let's take a look at the boys volleyball team, who hopes the skill and experience they developed last year will lead into an even more successful season this time around. Last year, a young and unproven Milford boys volleyball team took a giant leap forward, winning 14 regular season games and eventually advancing all the way to a district semifinal. With so many players returning for the 2019 season, the team hopes they can continue the progress they started a year ago.
At first, I expected the season that we wouldn't make it as far in the semifinals district because of we only had 2 seniors. Everyone was like third-year experience. We had some second-year experienced players, but coach kept us all together, and we improved a lot, and we ended up going to the semifinals. But Natick overpowered us, and we learned a lot from that game.
The coaches and I knew that they had a lot of potential. Looking back to the start of the season, we wanted to win the games we knew that we should win, and compete in the games where the other team might have been the favorite or might have had more experience than us. And we did just that. We won all of the games we were supposed to win, and then towards the end of the season, we were putting up a serious fight against some of the stronger teams. So I don't know if I was surprised that they made that progress as quick as they did, because it was kind of what I expected, or what I was hoping for, I should say. So not surprised, but definitely glad they did.
With the majority of last year's team still intact, Milford enters into the new season with a lot of experience and confidence on their side.
We graduated 3 seniors. 2 of the 3 were starters. And we're bringing back 11 guys who were juniors last year. And of the 11 guys, I'd say 5 or 6 were starters. And what's most important about that is our 2 setters are coming back. Having a setter and 2 experienced setters is really important, so that's a huge plus. And also our top 2 attackers are returning, so that's a big deal.
Experience is going to be a big part. You have most of the team who's played since their freshman year, and they've played off season, so that's basic year-round volleyball, and it's all for this year.
I think like almost every player can play almost every position, and that's a really strong thing in the team. Like, yeah, everyone's like a versatile player, so that's very important too.
Not only did the current core of players gain experience in volleyball playoffs last season, the majority of the athletes on this year's team were part of a Milford boys soccer team that enjoyed great success in the regular season and playoffs this past fall. I asked the captains what qualities of the soccer team may carry over onto the volleyball court.
Yeah, the mentality.
Mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
Mental toughness. The experience you could receive just from, well, how far we went in soccer. Just getting playoff experience in even a different sport is tremendous to have when you go to another playoff, when you've already had the nerves, you've already experienced everything. It's not new for the first time.
Getting to see almost my entire team out there was a lot of fun. I got to talk to their parents on more of a social level, catch up with them, and really have no responsibilities and get to enjoy the athleticism that the Milford athletes have that play both volleyball and soccer. And so they got a win under their belt in that season, but one thing I hope, unfortunately, to benefit from is that they were left with a sour taste in their mouth. They probably, and I say this because they would tell you this, they should have gone further than they did, and they want more. So I'm hoping that they're still feeling that, and that lights a fire in their stomach this whole season, and that we can accomplish what they wanted to accomplish in the soccer season.
After spending the last few seasons in the recently formed Western Alliance League, Milford will enter a new conference this year that will reignite several local rivalries.
We just joined the Tri-Valley League. I think there are 6 other teams, and there are some familiar faces. So we have Millis, Medfield, and Nipmuc, who are all on our schedule in the past. They're all competitive programs. And then there are some younger programs too. So Bellingham's a first-year program. Norton's a young program. King Philip's on our schedule, not part of our conference. They're a young program. So we kind of have a mixed bag in terms of our conference and teams around the area that we play. We expect some hard-fought matches, but I'll be really straightforward. We expect to be at the top. We want to win the conference. We want to win. We want to win our new league, and we'd like to take home the first boys volleyball Tri-Valley League championship. But under no circumstances do we think that these other teams are going to hand it to us. So we're going to have to work for it.
There will be some heavy hearts on the volleyball court throughout this season as the program continues to mourn the loss of Linda Zakili. But the team hopes to honor Linda's memory by putting forth the kind of effort that Coach Zakili would be proud of.
Our freshman year, she was our JV coach. Ours, he was on varsity, but he still got
I
still
talk to her.
But
She coached me.
She was an amazing woman. She helped us with everything. She introduced us to the sport. She's just an amazing person.
It's always hard to lose someone who means a lot to you, a lot to your athletes, and a lot to the program. So I definitely think it adds some importance to the season. The current seniors were some of her last athletes in both the boys and girls programs. So I know that they're definitely going to want to, complete her legacy and put, a whole bunch of 2019s up on our wall in a league district and ideally a state championship. And I think she's always going to be in the back of our minds every match. I think, this season we're currently putting an LZ on the chest of our uniform, so we'll be wearing her with us every match, and I think that will be a cool reminder, and especially it'll make us think of all the values she instilled in us to be, mentally tough, to work hard, to give it 150% even when you're not feeling well, and to be passionate about what you're doing. So I expect that she'll be with us the whole time, and that we'll be thinking about her often.
Tommaso now at the dish. Swings at the first pitch and drives it deep out to left field, and forget about that one. It is gone for a 3-run home run. 2019 brings a brand new chapter in the story of Milford softball. 2 years removed from a state championship and a year after an 18-win regular season, the program is ready to hit the reset button after graduating a decorated 10-player senior class last spring.
We talk about this every year. We turn the page, and this year is the 2019 version of Milford softball. And we had a tremendous senior class last year. They had an unbelievable campaign. They won over 78 games in their time at Milford High School, and, state championship, 4 league titles. It was a tremendous senior class, and we're so thankful for all they did for our program, and now it's the next class's turn, and this year's turn, this team's turn to kind of take that spotlight, and our girls are going to make of it what they want to make of it.
While the starting lineup will have a completely different look, Coach DeVito does have some familiar faces to lean on as he returns a total of 5 players with previous varsity experience.
I've had a lot of fun with the program in the past years. I've really developed a lot. I've learned a lot from my coaches. I've been doing this since I was in kindergarten, so it's been a really big learning experience, and now to finally be like a front runner, I guess, of the team, that's like a really cool idea, considering I started off at the bottom and I've worked my way all the way.
I think we're going to surprise a lot of teams. I think even though so many people graduated last year, I still think we have a good chance. We're going to be a good team.
We got so much experience throughout the years, and last year was great as well. It was really amazing seeing how those girls work together, and it's really going to help us this year to try and transition that into what we're going to be doing and just really make it a good year.
Even though positions are going to be filled left and right, we have sweatbands that we wear on our arm that say NTSD, new team, same dream. We all have the same goal, we all have the same motivation, and we're just a new team.
Any kind of varsity experience you're going to have coming back in any sport is important. Is it imperative? It's not imperative. Is it important, and is it something you can, kind of roll off of? Absolutely. And I think that our girls that have been there and experienced it and practiced and played last year, some of those girls did play a prominent role. I know Amanda Winkles last year was thrown into the fire there at the end of the year, and had to play shortstop against King Philip in North Attleboro, and did an excellent job for us. So I think that these girls get it.
The returning players on the softball team had an opportunity to work closely with last year's standout senior class, and they are hoping to take the lessons they learned and apply them to a successful 2019 year.
I do think we learned a lot when it comes to skill-wise, sportsmanship, and just overall playing the game.
Yeah, definitely. I learned a lot just from watching the players that I became friends with last year, and like just like simple things like footwork and like batting and like just what to do when, and I think that's going to help me a lot this year.
They were so inclusive and they were so friendly to all of us, and they were always willing to help out and give us advice if we needed it, or like if we had questions, they were always there to answer them. They really helped shape who we are, I guess.
Yeah, definitely most of the times in the sport, it's little details that can help make the whole game completely change. And if we had something off, they would show us. And even if the coaches like didn't notice it, they would notice it, and then they would just politely pull us over and say, "Hey, listen, you're doing this and this. It's really good, but you could improve it by doing X and Y." And it really helped out.
After she was unable to be part of the program last season, Lucy Creedon returns to the team for her senior year, and she'll have the distinction of being the lone holdover on the roster from Milford's 2017 state championship run.
I'm very excited to be back. Yeah, I missed it last year and I wanted to come back this year. I think this team, it has a lot of potential to grow into, what grew last time. It's definitely exciting. It's like a whole new starting nine. It's a whole new team. I think we're going to really work hard to, build up to that. I think we have a lot of potential to be what we were before.
Throughout this decade of dominance, the faces have changed, but the level of success has remained the same for Milford softball. This year's team is excited for the opportunity to add to the storied legacy of the softball program.
I think it's going to be a very unique year, considering we have so many different ages and groups and types of people, so I'm excited to see how we blend together and how we work.
I think as long as we work really hard and we just get together as a team and we're all supportive of one another, I think it'll be a really great season and it'll just be overall fun. That's what we're looking for.
I think that this team is definitely going to surprise people. I think we're really going to work hard to really make that happen, make people say, oh, it's not just two seniors left because everyone else graduated. I think they're going to start to look at a lot of the girls here, and I think that we definitely can be the team that we were before.
I think the most important thing here is the expectations over the last couple of years, and rightfully so, were very high. And what I told these girls is that expectations for them may not be as high from others, but I know from the coaching staff's perspective, we have the same type of expectations. We like to set our goals high, and if you set your bar low, you're going to aim low, and that's not how we act in this program. It's never been that way, and it never will be that way, at least as long as I'm the head coach here. And girls understand that. They've been working hard, and I'm excited for what this team could potentially do. And I have a feeling, and I know the coaching staff feels the same way, that they're going to surprise a good amount of people.
One more time, we want to remind you to get out and vote in this Tuesday's election. Last year, just 17% of registered voters made it out to the polls. Over the years, we have seen contested races decided by less than 20 votes, so there is no doubt when it comes to local elections, every vote truly does count. Once you've made your trip to the polls, make sure you tune into Milford TV on Tuesday night, where we will have live election night coverage beginning at 8 p.m. We thank you as always for tuning in, and from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.